Welcome Libra to your in-depth monthly horoscope for November 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. Please see beneath this video to view your year 2025 Zodiac forecast. You can also order your personal forecast for next year now, get the rest of this year free, and also your life roadmap report and 30% off. Please see below for that too. On the screen now, I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the month. As October came to a close, the moon was in your sign, but it did go into two right angles with Mars and Pluto, a T-square, and that's still prevalent as we come into this new month, although the moon has moved on and is about to apply to the sun later on the first day for the new moon. The new moon gives you an opportunity to take the ideas that you've been generating over the last month and form them up over the next month in a more substantive way. So that's the foundations. It also helps you to think seriously about your finances, but also your sense of self-worth and values. So all of those themes will be boosted by that new moon. But that clash between Mars and Pluto, which the moon in your sign got caught up in, well, that is a very powerful opposition, and that reaches a peak on the 3rd of this month. So let's just take a look at that. Mars is asking you, and has been since the 6th of September, to take your talents more seriously. But that also has asked you to raise your profile, be more assertive. But the thing is, when Mars and Pluto are in opposition, one of the traps we can fall into is almost trying too hard and being a little bit too willful, particularly in trying to get our own way. It is a very potent planetary opposition. For you, it could be about trying to balance your work and home situation. And I think it's important to stay mindful of the support you're getting from other people in your situation, if that's the case. If you're not getting the support you really need, that could prove to be somewhat frustrating in the early part of this month. And although Venus, your ruler, is in the free-spirited Sagittarius, and for you in the chatty 3rd house, if you have got some comments to share, they're likely to be a little bit more acerbic because of the square to Saturn. Indeed, on the 2nd of this month, Mercury moves on from an electric opposition to Uranus right at the start of the month, which could see you a little bit impulsive about money, and joins up with Venus in the sign of Sagittarius. But that too is going to square up with Saturn in week 2. So your thinking and also your mode of communication, often very diplomatic, could be much more direct in the early part of this month. In fact, you may need to assert yourself, or feel you need to assert yourself, in a much more impactful way. Just be aware the North Node in your 7th house gives you an opportunity to still tune in to people in the skillful way for which you're known. It's just that your values, with the Sun in a quincunx with the North Node, just be aware that your values may not necessarily chime with whoever you're dealing with. Now, whether that's at work, professionally, or perhaps in local organisations that you may contribute to, or in your personal situation, the potential for tension is very strong at the start of this month. And I guess the new moon in Scorpio could see you be a little bit more attached to your values, or more attached to your attitude around finances. But as long as you know that, that helps you to navigate the potential challenges and seize the opportunities. And a big one comes on the 4th, because Mars moves out of that 10th house and moves into house 11, which is much more to do with networking, building up the group. You can still be individualistic, you can still stand out for what you want, but you just have a little bit of a lighter touch. It's still in a broad opposition with Pluto, so you could still feel quite emotional, particularly if you're born quite late in Libra, about certain situations, but a much more social dimension comes in through to the end of the year with Mars's support. However, on the 7th, Mercury, which moves into the sign of Sagittarius on the 2nd, joining up with Venus, that goes into its pre-retrograde shadow. So whether you're thinking about buying some new technology, a new mode of transport, or you're communicating with someone, there could be some snags between now and the 3rd of January. Why is that? Well, Mercury goes into its retrograde on the 26th this month. It emerges from that mid-December, but it won't be until the 3rd of January that it comes out of its post-retrograde shadow. Now on the 11th, your ruler Venus moves into your 4th house. So for 1 week, it's going to be anchored in the same sign as Pluto. Pluto moves back to Aquarius for the 3rd time on the 19th, but that 1 week could see you do something around a property matter that gives you some kind of very significant step forwards. It may be decorative, it may be to do with your furnishings, it could be to do with getting family members together, it could be a powerful discussion or emotional energy that you have around the security part of your life. But Venus certainly gives you a chance to appreciate the people who are in your life in a meaningful way. Now on the 15th, Saturn goes direct. If you have found over the last 5 months your physical vitality has been low, or the demands of life have been particularly high, it wouldn't be a surprise. That tension can be released, but there is also on the 15th a full moon. And that full moon influences the other sign, like you, that's ruled by Venus, Taurus. And it's very close to Uranus. So for you, that's house 8, but the sun goes opposite Uranus in week 3, threaded through that full moon. So for the following couple of weeks, you may find yourself being particularly rebellious when it comes to your resources. Now, if you are in a close relationship and you feel that a partner tends to want to impose their values or their constraints on you, you could find yourself really wanting to do what you need to do for you. Now, if you don't need to confer with anyone else, you may decide to spoil yourself and can find a big ticket item or something with a little bit of luxury that really calls out to you and decide to splurge. Of course, it could be that you're going to come up with some imaginative ideas around your Christmas gift selection. But the full moon here can also make you much more aware of long-term financial relationships and involvements or costs, and Uranus being in the mix could see you want to release yourself from them. So that could be paying off debt, it could be coming to a debt, some kind of debt repayment plan, something which gives you some freedom from the demands. The 19th, as I mentioned, sees Pluto return to Aquarius, which for you is glorious because on the 21st the Sun joins up with Mercury in your 3rd house. You're going to see a speeding up, but also it's an opportunity to start to enjoy the more social dimension in a much more powerful way. Yes, Mercury does go retrograde, as I mentioned, on the 26th, and yes, that can cause some snags, crosswires and misunderstandings, but generally you get an opportunity, a window of opportunity to have some enjoyment and some pleasures, because there's little doubt that the start of this month with that new moon in Scorpio, very much focused on everyday finance and self-worth values. The full moon opposing that in the middle of the month is very much to do with longer term finances. Those two influences could be very much to do with a close romantic relationship. If it's going well, the new moon can see you come together in a more unified way. If a relationship isn't going so well, the full moon at the heart of the month conjunct Uranus may see you want to break free. It just depends on your unique circumstances. But whatever your situation, there is going to be the chance to have some greater fun, freedom and social interaction, particularly with Mars in your 11th house as this month draws to a close. It just may be with Mercury retrograde that things are rather fluid. Have a great November, Libra, and please do check out your year 2025 deep dive video forecast by clicking the link beneath this video.